Saturday, May 1st, 1943. Dear Kitty, if I just think of how we live here, I usually come to the conclusion that it is a paradise compared with how other Jews who are not in hiding must be living. Even so, later on, when everything is normal again, I shall be amazed to think that we, who were so spick and span at home, should have sunk to such a low level. By this I mean that our manners have declined. For instance, ever since we have been here, we have had one oilcloth on our table which, owing to so much use, is not one of the cleanest. Admittedly, I often try to clean it with a dirty dishcloth, which is more whole than cloth. The table doesn't do us much credit either, in spite of hard scrubbing. The Van Daans have been sleeping on the same flannelette sheet the whole winter. One can't wash it here because the soap powder we get on the ration isn't sufficient, and besides it's not good enough. Daddy goes about in frayed trousers, and his tie is beginning to show signs of wear too. Mummy's corsets have split today and are too old to be repaired, while Margot goes about in a brassiere 2 sizes too small for her. Mummy and Margot have managed the whole winter with 3 vests between them, and mine are so small that they don't even reach my tummy. Certainly, these are all things which can be overcome. Still, I sometimes realize with a shock, how are we, now going about in worn-out things, from my pants down to Daddy's shaving brush, ever going to get back to our pre-war standards? They were banging away so much last night that 4 times I gathered all my belongings together. Today I have packed a suitcase with the most necessary things for an escape. But Mummy quite rightly says, "Where will you escape to?" The whole of Holland is being punished for the strikes which have been going on in many parts of the country. Therefore, a state of siege has been declared and everyone gets 1 butter coupon less. What naughty little children. Yours, Anne. Tuesday, May 18th, 1943. Dear Kitty, I witnessed a terrific air battle between German and British planes. Unfortunately, a couple of the Allies had to jump from burning machines. Our milkman, who lives in Halfweg, saw 4 Canadians sitting by the roadside. One of them spoke fluent Dutch. He asked the milkman to give him a light for his cigarette and told him that the crew had consisted of 6 men. The pilot was burned to death, and their 5th man had hidden himself somewhere. The German police came and fetched the 4 perfectly fit men. I wonder how they managed to have such clear brains after that terrifying parachute trip. Although it is fairly warm, we have to light our fires every other day in order to burn vegetable peelings and refuse. We can't put anything in the garbage pails, because we must always think of the warehouse boy. How easily one could be betrayed by being a little careless. All students who wish either to get their degrees this year, or continue their studies, are compelled to sign that they are in sympathy with the Germans and approve of the new order. 80% have refused to go against their consciences. Naturally, they had to bear the consequences. All the students who do not sign have to go to a labor camp in Germany. What will be left of the youth of the country if they have all got to do hard labor in Germany? Mummy shut the window last night because of all the banging. I was in Pin's bed. Suddenly Mrs. Van Daan jumped out of bed above us, just as if Mushji had bitten her. A loud clap followed immediately. It sounded just as if an incendiary bomb had fallen beside my bed. I shrieked out, "Light, light." Pim turned on the lamp. I expected nothing less than to see the room ablaze within a few minutes. Nothing happened. We all hurried upstairs to see what was going on. Mr. and Mrs. Van Daan had seen a red glow through the open window. He thought that there was a fire in the neighborhood, and she thought that our house had caught fire. When the clap came, Mrs. Van Daan was already on her feet with her knees knocking. But nothing more happened, and we all crept back into our beds. Before a quarter of an hour had passed, the shooting started up again. Mrs. Van Daan sat bolt upright at once, and then went downstairs to Mr. Dussel's room, seeking there the rest which she could not find with her spouse. Dussel received her with the words, "Come into my bed, my child," which sent us off into uncontrollable laughter. The gunfire troubled us no longer. Our fear was banished. Yours, Anne.